So my name is Professor Harrison, and I've been offering service learning in Ecuador for a number of years now. We've had 45 Rhode Island College students come to Ecuador and work on service learning projects. They've varied. And in these last few years, we've had a particular focus on working on food sustainability, hydroponic growing, and gardening and composting at an orphanage and school outside the capital city of Quito. So it's been a wonderful experience to be immersed in a culture and a language, and with a marginalized group of kids whose parents are often incarcerated or they've been brought into this pseudo foster care system.
So my name's Mia Palumbo. I'm a secondary education student studying social studies.
So my name is Megan Mullally. I'm a justice studies and sociology major.
My name is Mackenzie. I am in the MIT program for elementary education.
My name is Ashley Steinberg. I'm a criminal justice major.
My name is Nicole Neely. I'm a political science major and an English minor.
My name is Thomas Lazarus. I'm a justice studies major.
My name is Allison Berry.
My name is Joshua Moretti.
My name is Diane Lennis.
And I first found out about this trip from a small flyer that was on the wall in Craig Lee. And I just kind of like noticed it, and it said study abroad.
I became interested in the field service work in Ecuador class because I knew that there was an opportunity to teach within the orphanage, and it associated with my major.
I was very interested in this course because I enjoy working with kids. I'm very passionate with helping the community out. So going to experience a whole different country and a culture was, you know, my go-to.
I learned about this trip through one of my English classes. My professor, Dr. Lindy, she had Dr. Harrison come into our class, and she showed us kind of what the course is about. She showed us a video about it, and it actually works out because this trip actually counts as an internship for my English minor. So I graduated with the certificate.
So I saw the poster, and I got really excited. I went to the first meeting, and I immediately fell in love with Dr. Harrison and Dr. Lawrence.
She was always talking about how great of an experience that these kids had when they went to Ecuador, and I was like, whatever, that's cool. Then she showed us this video and a bunch of pictures that other students had submitted to show for future references, and I was like, wow, this looks really cool. So I went to the first meeting and I was hooked, and that was pretty much how I got involved.
Well, when we were there, we were split into groups, and there were different groups. One was hydroponics. I was in the gardening group, and we basically we cleared out a whole area of weeds and stuff like that, and we just put in new plants and stuff like that to grow food, just because the conditions there are really bad. So the sun's always out, the altitude, it's just really hard to grow crops there, so it's tough. You got to find a way to do it.
Well, we went to help them create their own hydroponics lab so that they could grow their own vegetables and crops more efficiently, and also to be in the classrooms helping with language, and in the orphanage we were working with composting and building relationships with the people.
What we did there, the group that I went with, we stayed in Quito, the capital of Ecuador. We stayed with families over there, and every day we took a bus out to Conocoto, which is where the orphanage was, Henry Davis Orphanage. We spent a lot of the time at the orphanage, building gardens, teaching the children hydroponics, filling in for teachers who were absent for whatever reason, just teaching the kids English or reading them books or doing whatever.
My main role was I was working with the art group, and so with that it was art integration. So we were trying to get the kids excited about hydroponics, kind of bring them into the lab more, painting with them so it kind of becomes like their lab. So when they go in there they can see, oh, I painted that, that's my handprint. Just get them excited about it. I also got the opportunity to go into the high school English classes as well, which was just so much fun. We got to work with Andres, the English teacher. We worked on speaking activities, and we just got to know the kids really well in the class. So
most of the children left an impression on me. One of them was Michaela. She was always serving us for breakfast and dinner, and it just shows she's so young and she was so enthused and always helping the mamitas, they call them, with cooking and stuff like that.
The house that I was with for meals and homework, I got close with a lot of those girls, particularly Maria. She was one of the older high school girls. And in the beginning, she wasn't open to talking. She told me she didn't know English. She had no way of communicating with me.
There was a couple of kids that like really just caught my eye right from the get-go and really grabbed my heart. And it gets me I'm a little emotional because I walked out of, because we got there at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So the next morning I walk outside and there was a couple of maybe 3 or 4-year-olds, you know, just playing in the yard, and a little boy named Davis came running into my arms and just gave me the biggest hug, like he's known me forever. And that warmed my heart because he's never seen me before. I've never seen him. I'm just a complete stranger, and all he wanted was a big hug. And from there, me and Davis, we hung out. I, you know, played games with him, helped him, you know, grow plants, and he really touched my heart.
It was the first Friday we were there. We had like a dance party after dinner, and I forgot my charger at the house, so I went back to my house and was walking in. She ran over, gave me the charger and hugged me and was just smiling, and then ran back.
The laws in Ecuador are crazy. I mean, parents can do things, the kids get sent there and they go right back to the parents once the parents are out of prison. So like they experience things that kids up here and even myself would never imagine seeing or hearing, and not to mention the quality of life that they have. They embrace everything that they have so much, but they have so little. So being able to see that and being able to see how grateful they were just for us being there, not even for the work that we were more so doing, just being there and keeping them company and listening to them is like, it was incredible.
One of the kids, he was 16 and he had just growing up too quick, you know what I mean? So they had to just basically grow up way earlier than I needed to. I still have my parents to fall back on, but they don't have that, so they're doing things that I wasn't doing until I was like 20 years old, so it was pretty good. It was pretty amazing.
So one of the major difficulties I found within the class was that they were hiring teachers because the orphanage had a very limited budget to offer teachers, that they couldn't get teachers with a lot of experience. In fact, the teacher that I personally worked with didn't have any experience teaching, but that she was the best candidate with the best knowledge of English. But even speaking with her, that was very limited. So in a learning environment where the children were supposed to be learning English, they were learning a really flawed form of English.
At one point, I got very close to heat stroke. So I guess I wasn't drinking enough water. I was actually part of the group that was solely based in just the garden. So we had the constant sun on top of us. There's about 3 or 4 of us doing that. And we did have quite a bit of sun. So at one point I did get too much of it, not enough water, and I actually got sent home for the day because I was not feeling great.
One of the biggest difficulties for me is I like to travel, but like living spaces is like difficult for me. Because I'm so accustomed to how the US has their bathrooms and how they have their bedrooms and the showers, that was like a huge shock to me compared. Although I'm an international student and I live in the Caribbean, it was still different. So that's one of the biggest difficulties I face.
I mean, I miss the kids every single day, so that's a huge emotional impact. I don't know, the kids just have a way of just kind of bringing something out of you, I guess, that maybe you didn't know you had. You're just with them every day, you learn their story. I guess you kind of learn that your problems aren't really problems, they have real problems. So I guess just kind of dealing with that was definitely an adventure. It was hard. It's out of your comfort zone as well, just kind of learning how to deal with that. It's not something you're really exposed to a lot, so.
Leaving was terrible. There was a full week, really, the whole last week was awful because the kids knew we were leaving.
I feel like it was very difficult leaving.
The hardest thing was leaving. The hardest thing was leaving.
And like their hugs would linger longer, and they'd always want to sit on your lap and play with your hands or your hair. They'd always want to be touching you or just talking to you. They just didn't, it just felt like one long goodbye.
You know, a couple of the kids really connected with me, and they cried, and so, like I said, that boundary of not showing my emotional side really hurt me. So I was coming home, I was really like, you know, I wish I could have stayed a little bit longer, or, you know, take some kids home with me, you know.
So it was definitely an emotional roller coaster, but I would do it again. I mean, it was worth it, and I loved every second of it, but it wasn't easy. It was definitely challenging.
The trip is awesome, especially if you want to like travel, if you like to travel. And also when we went to the caves, that's one of the best experiences I had. We went to the caves and you just seen like the historical aspect of it.
We ended up going like cave exploring through this cave of Jumanji, I think it was called. I don't know. It sounded like Jumanji, so that's what I've been calling it. But it was just this like ancient underground river that had kind of dug its way through the ground and made these really cool caves that they used to serve as like a ceremonial place before warriors would go out and fight the Spanish colonists.
And we didn't realize that we were gonna have to swim through these things. So like there's water flowing, there's like ropes above us that we're like dangling from, and it was just like so weird because it wasn't what we expected, but it was the most fun, like I think most fun thing I've ever done. I felt like I was like National Geographic or something, just like getting through this, and I don't know, I would do it again in a heartbeat. It was so much fun.
The funnest part that I probably had though was we went zip lining, and for me, I'd never been zip lining, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. And it was probably the coolest experience of my life. Like we're in Ecuador, we're flying in and above trees, there's 1,000 things below you that you don't even know, and it started to rain a little bit, so like I actually felt like I was like, not like in the sky, but like one with nature, and it was like the most relaxing, calming, like I was able to clear my head and not freak out kind of feeling. So that was probably one of the funnest things that we were able to do while we were there.
So it was a lot of work, but I think it was really worth it. And it's definitely an experience that I'm gonna remember for the rest of my life, like hands down, no question. I think that if anybody gets an opportunity like this, they should take it, especially if it pushes them out of their comfort zone.
I definitely would recommend it. One, because you're just never going to be exposed to anything like it, taking a college course on campus.
I would recommend this work to anyone in the education major. One, because of the direct experience you get to teach, all in a low income, but also in a foreign environment. In the education major, there's a very strong theme of teachers remaining lifelong learners, and you don't learn more about yourself or about how to teach others when you're just thrown into a situation without any sort of resources, and you just have to work with what you're given.
Well, I'm in justice studies, so eventually I want to be a police officer or work with, or like a social worker or something like that. So just getting an experience with other kids and just experience with people in general was really good. Also, the English barrier and the Spanish barrier was really cool because you needed to find new ways to communicate, and you needed to find different alternatives to speaking, like body language, all that type of stuff.
Well, I would totally recommend this course. It was an amazing eye-opener, and just even if you like to travel, seeing gorgeous, you know, Quito was amazing, and just, you know, seeing a whole different culture. I mean, I think we need to open our eyes and be open-minded to different things.
It just opened my eyes to the fact that, like I said, people are different, ways of life are different.
It broadens your horizons culturally, helps with your social skills. You're being thrown into something.
It was a great trip. It was really nice.
So we welcome students from all different types of departments. We'd love to see, now that the plants are growing, we could use students from marketing, we could use biology students. There's a desperate need for social worker students, nursing students, and students in general who care about making the world a better place.